everyone, and welcome back to my channel. My name is Anna and I am a hobby fiber artist living in Seattle, Washington. I love to knit and sew and spin, and that's what I like to talk about on my channel here as well. So today we're going to talk about everything that I worked on in the month of April, and there's a lot, so we'll just dive right in. I will start by just a quick tell you about what I'm wearing. So I'm wearing sewn and knit garments today. This is my Lonely Leftovers vest, which is a pattern by Wool & Beyond. Sorry, this is like a weird angle, but I want you to see it. I think I made this in 2023, and it's made with 3 strands of unspun yarn held together throughout. I was trying to use up my unspun scraps, so there's like on the back yoke. I really like this pattern. It's got a really cool construction. So you do this back yoke, and the edging, and then so the back yoke is mostly three white strands held together with a little bit of the gray kind of marled through, and then we've got like 2 strands of white and this like brown, and then it goes to gray, and then it goes to like a darker gray. There was a lot of color management going on in here, and I'm not sure I did the best job, but I think I went to 2 strands of gray and 1 strand of white, and then like 2 strands of browny gray, and then there's a really dark brown at the bottom. So the fade probably could have been a little bit better. But overall I do really like this. I made the size medium, and I think it's actually a little bit big. I would definitely make this pattern again. I actually might make it with some bulky weight yarn that I have in stash, like held with colorful strands of mohair maybe. But I think I would make the size down. I'm pretty sure I made the medium, and it gives me a good amount of positive ease. It's also a little bit cropped. I kind of wish it was maybe like an inch longer. But I think I made it pretty much to pattern. And so it's like all different kinds of unspun. There's Hillesvåg unspun, there's White Buffalo unspun, which is like a vintage discontinued yarn. There is Plotalopi, there is Briggs and Little. So there's a bit of everything kind of held together in here, and it's really fun and cozy. It just does look a little bit like biblical, I think, like New Testament-y. I don't know why. Maybe it's just the color, but I sometimes find it hard to style, but I do like it, and I want to make another one. I think it may be like a more, just like a solid color. But it went really well with my shirt today, so that's why we're wearing it. It's very comfy and a nice layer for this kind of transitional weather time. And then underneath my vest, I'll take this off so you can see. Here we go. Okay. Underneath my vest is the Honey Girl Tee, which is a pattern from Lyrical Fabrics and is it Paradise Patterns? If it's not, I will leave a note here. But it's the Honey Girl Tee. This is the long sleeve view with the scoop neck. And I used a brown cotton pointelle from Lyrical Fabrics. I love the color. I made a short sleeve version of this in March, and I did the high neck, and then I was like, oh, I'll try the scoop neck for this long sleeve. I kind of wish I had done the high neck because the scoop is very scooped, and I'm pretty pale. So it's just like a lot of very pale skin on display, kind of contrasted with the dark fabric. And I was pretty disappointed in it at the beginning, but so this is my first day actually really wearing it, and I think it's growing on me. I think I was worried that the scoop was going to be too scoopy and I was going to be like falling out, and it maybe could come over a little bit. Like I'm wearing a bra that's pretty similarly colored to the shirt, but I just worry that like it's pretty close, like, you know, that's close, but I think still like I would feel comfortable wearing this to work. I think it's grown on me. I still wish I had done the scoop neck. I really like the high neck. And I would like to make more of these shirts in the future. And I think if I do, I will just do the high neck or adjust the scoop neck to be more like that. I think if it was just like an inch higher, it would be more comfortable for me. I just don't like this gaping that happens, you know, when you like move around in this gapping, because it's quite a wide and deep scoop. But I'm still happy with it. And I really like the long sleeve. I really like this fabric. It's 100% organic cotton. I bought it on sale, which made it a little bit more affordable. I think I bought a yard of the white that I showed you last month, and then a yard and a half of this brown. And then with the shipping, it was maybe like, I think it ended up being like $12 a yard and I needed no more than a yard for one shirt. So I think $12 for a t-shirt is pretty good. Ordinarily, I think it's more like $14 to $16 a yard for this fabric. So next time it goes on sale, I will probably buy more to make more of these shirts because I do really like them. They're very versatile. I'm trying to like get my wardrobe to a place where I have pieces that I feel really comfortable wearing to work when I need to dress. I still work in a pretty casual workplace, but it's like I need to look professional versus like what I wear on the weekends, which is way more casual when I'm just like running around after my kid and playing, like just relaxing. I'm trying to find a good happy medium where I have pieces that kind of can work in both applications. And I feel like these t-shirts are good for that. I think the pointelle kind of makes them look a little bit more dressy just because it's more elevated than like a plain jersey or like a plain knit or even just like a plain rib. Maybe I'm just telling myself that, but that's how I feel. And so I would like to make more of these in the future. Yeah, so I'm just going to keep browsing places that I know sell cotton pointelle. I know you can get it from Lyrical Fabrics. You can get it from Salt Lake Society. I found a couple other websites. I'll link some of the fabric stores I've been looking at if you want to check it out. But this is the first, sewing these tops was the first time I've ever sewn with knit fabric. It was kind of like a goal of mine. I say goal because I don't like make formal goals, but it's something I wanted to try out. I've been wanting to try for a long time and I wanted to do this year and I'm really happy that I did. It wasn't as scary as I thought it was going to be. You can do this whole shirt on a regular sewing machine. You don't need a serger. And the pattern I think does a good job of telling you like how to set the stitch settings on your machine to make it work properly. So yeah, I'm really happy with this. I need to like trim a couple of threads in a few places, but I do like it a lot. I think I ended up, the sleeves in the pattern were quite a bit longer. I'm glad with where mine ended up. It's like a bracelet length. So yeah, and they kind of ride up a little bit as I'm moving around, but I feel like this is a good length for a long sleeve, so it's not like in my way. So yeah, anyway, that's what I'm wearing today. It is Me Made May, so I'm trying to wear at least one handmade or hand altered piece. I do a lot of like buying things from the thrift store and then changing them or like heavily modifying them to be a new piece. And so of that I'm counting as Me Made. I'm trying to wear at least one piece every day that I've made for the month of May, and I'm sharing daily updates on my Instagram stories. So if you want to see more of my projects in action styled, you can check me out there. This is my handle. It's the same as my YouTube channel. But yes, that is a lot of rambling for the beginning of this video, but that's what I'm wearing today. And that's what I'm up to during the month of May. So anyway, let's get into the projects. I have a couple of finished sewing projects, finished knitting project, a couple works in progress. So we're a little all over the place, but my first finished object is one that I'm really happy with. And that is my Stockholm Slipover that is knit with my handspun yarn. This is my second handspun garment now. I finished my handspun sweater in March, and I have now finished my handspun vest in April. It knit up super quick. I feel like I knit this in maybe like 2 weeks. And I'm really happy with it. So this is the Stockholm Slipover by Petite Knit. I knit the size medium, which is my general size for Petite Knit. And I really like the fit. It has a good amount of positive ease without being too oversized. And I knit the length exactly to pattern. And I really like the length of this slipover. So I'm quite happy with it. The yarn is 2-ply hand spun. This fiber that I used, I bought at Flock Fiber Festival from the Little Fiber Company. It's my favorite indie yarn and fiber brand. Lauren does beautiful work. And this is the colorway Matcha Cheesecake. I think on her website, she still has some hand-dyed yarn in this colorway. She does not have any more fiber, but I think the last time I checked, she had a couple more skeins of Matcha Cheesecake in stock. She at least had a sock set of Matcha Cheesecake. So if this is like a color that you really like, you might be able to get a skein or two of it in like an in-stock purchase from her. I will link it down below so you can see. But the braids, I'll put a picture of how the fiber looked when I bought it. It had all of these different kind of like tones of green. There's warmer, like yellowy greens, and then cooler, more bluey greens. And it was my first time spinning hand-dyed fiber. And so it was a really big learning experience for me about like how to manage the color. But I'm happy with how the yarn turned out, and I'm really happy with how the knitting turned out as well. I had to do a fair amount of color management of the knitting. So when I was spinning the yarn, I spun one skein that was kind of, I just like split the fiber in half and then spun from end to end, each of them, and then plied them together. And it ended up with a yarn that was a little bit more blended. Like the greens were kind of blending into the white because there was a lot of white in the fiber. And so it was muting the colors down a lot. And so the next braid that I knit, I kind of intentionally pulled out the big chunks of green and tried to like spin them and then intermittent them with some of the lighter parts. I think I still split the braid in half, but I did more managed color. And so that second skein is what I think I used for the top half of this sweater vest. So I started with the back yoke, and I did not alternate between the two skeins. I started with the back yoke, and the color variation I think is pretty good in here. It's stripy, but it doesn't look intentionally striped. And then when I started doing so I like knit the back panel, and then I went to pick up for the shoulders, and I did one shoulder, and it just ended up being like a pretty light part. And so when I went back to do the second shoulder, I had gotten to kind of a dark spot in my yarn. And so I knit a little bit, and I'll put a picture. I think I still have a picture of what I'm talking about. Like the shoulders didn't really match, and I didn't love that. So I ripped back, and they don't match, but they have a similar kind of look to them, where there's like a lot of this lighter kind of whitey green. And then, so I had to do a little bit of color management there. And then this kind of like dark green section, there were some places where the green was just like there was a really big chunk of really dark green. And so I kind of pulled that out, and then I ended up pulling out like, so a couple of places in the vest, I like pulled out some really dark chunks and like played with how the darker sections and the lighter sections would go together. And I think it ended up good, like nice. I think this looks nice. I think it looks kind of striped, but in a natural way. And like, I think I started the second skein around here. So this chunk here is from the second skein, and you can kind of see how there's a little bit more of like a yellow tone to this section. And it's just because of the way that I spun the yarn, but I do think it turned out really nice. I'm overall quite happy with it. I think it's cute, and it's unique, and it's interesting and fun to style. And I didn't even end up using, I had maybe like 10 grams of yarn left at the end, or 15. I didn't even need all the yarn that I had. I was a little bit worried I was going to be playing yarn chicken, but it turned out great, and I'm so happy with it. And I really like this, not just like the hand spun aspect of it, but this is a piece. Like it's really fun to layer because it's knit, I think at like a 19 stitch gauge. So kind of like a lighter DK gauge. And this is 100% Falkland wool. So it's like I think Falkland is a fine wool. It's pretty soft. It's pretty comfortable. But the gauge is big enough that I feel like I can wear this later in the spring and even in the summer. I live in Seattle, where we don't get super hot summers. But like even like a 70s degree day, I feel like I could wear this just as a top and it wouldn't be too hot, which is what I'm planning to do. So yeah, I've worn it so far as a layering piece, and I thought it was really cute, and I want to wear it again as a top. And I think I want more of these vests because I love how versatile they are. I think this looks also is better. This particular slipover works well as a vest because the scoop at the neck is a little bit lower, which I was worried about at the beginning, but I actually like it. I feel like the shaping is maybe a little bit like, this is an older petite knit pattern. I think if she were to wear this again, she might shape the neck a little bit differently. It looks kind of like that you don't cast on a ton of stitches here at the bottom after the increases. And so I think it looks, I don't know, it's not like a perfectly scoop neck, but I still really like it. I think the fit is nice, and I'm going to keep rambling if I don't just cut myself off, but I'm really, really happy with how this turned out. It was a really fun project, really rewarding. And it makes me want to do more knitting with hand spun yarn in the future. So I'm really, really happy with this. I love it. And I want to do another one. Okay, that took up a good focused amount of knitting time for me this month. I feel like I knit kind of monogamously for a while on that. Like I was really trying to finish my socks that I showed you last month and my hand spun sweater, and then I moved right onto this, and I was really enjoying it. So yeah, and then after I finished my vest, I was like, I'm not really sure what I want to knit on, and so I picked my blanket back up. This is a blanket that I started in October, I think, of last year. And I'm now like maybe a little bit less than halfway through. This is the Color Brick Road blanket by Pearl Soho, and I'm knitting it with a bunch of different colors of Lamb's Pride worsted, which is an 85% wool, 15% mohair yarn. My mom found like a bunch of random colors of this yarn at a thrift store, and she didn't know what to do with them, so she gave them to me, and I was like, oh, I'll make a blanket out of them. So this is what we've got. I have now 4 of the stripes. This is actually the bottom tier. So I started here in this corner, and this is the strip that I've finished. No, I started in this corner, and this is the strip that I finished most recently. So it's kind of, you can kind of see the pattern a little bit better now, how it's like the colors are kind of stepping down like that. And yeah, we've got this tiny little pocket of blue. I'm going to have more blue starting to go on this end. I think it's fun. I am a little bit worried that I'm not going to have a ton of yarn to make this a super wide blanket. I think I will have enough yarn to make it to do at least 4 more strips, but I'm worried that I won't have more than 4. So it might be like a funny shaped blanket in the end. It's pretty long. It's probably about as long as I am, but that might just be like a pretty narrow. It might just end up being long and narrow, or maybe I'll just have to block it kind of aggressively when it's done. But I'm just going to keep going. It's not like I'm going to rip all of this out. This is a lot of work. One of these little blocks probably takes me 45 minutes to an hour to do, and I've done 44 of them, so I'm not going to rip it back now. And I do think it's going to be a really nice piece. Maybe it'll be a good size for like a kid's blanket, and I can put it on Caroline's bed or something when she's older. But yep, that's where I'm at on my blanket. I think when I picked this back up this month, I had maybe like 1 or 2 of these blocks done, and so I did most of the rest of this strip this month. And I want to keep working on this. I don't want it to sit for another couple of months because I want to finish it this year. Like I don't want to take this blanket into 2026 with me because I started in 2024. I want to finish it in 2025. I would love to finish it within a year of casting it on, but we'll see if I do that. Oh, I have one more work in progress to show you. So I kind of cast this on a whim. I really like, I think this stemmed from the fact that I really like the look of the blouse number 1 by My Favorite Things Knitwear, or the Sevilla blouse by Petite Knit. Sevilla blouse. It's like a long sleeve, cotton, loose, kind of summery sweater, but I don't love the super wide boat neck. So I was looking for patterns. I couldn't find anything that I was feeling super drawn to. And then I tried on my Air Tee. I have one already that I knit a couple of years ago, the Air Tee by Ozetta. I was like, I always forget about this top. I love the fit. And I was like, oh, I wonder if anyone has knit that in a long sleeve version. And actually, my friend Marlene, she didn't knit one from Marlene's Knits. She didn't knit one, but she had a friend who knit one, and she tried it on. There's a picture on her Instagram of her wearing it, and it was like kind of in the exact color of yarn that I have that I would make mine in. And I was like, perfect, sold, I'm making that. So all that to say, I cast on an Air Tee by Ozetta, but I'm going to make it with long sleeves. So this is where we're at right now. I've just joined in the round. The Air Tee is designed to be kind of just like a normal short sleeve summer tee, but it has a cool construction where you, oh gosh, my needles are stuck and I'm trying to, okay, this is a tangent while I'm trying to figure this. I got the Licca Chipra needles, the copper needles, for Christmas, and I do really like them. But I've always been an Addy click girl, and so I'm used to my needles clicking on and not screwing on. And I'm always too lazy to use the tightening thing to screw on my needles, and so they start coming unscrewed, and then my yarn gets caught in them, and it drives me insane. So there we go. I need to just actually tighten them like I'm supposed to. But anyway, back to the project. This is my Air Tee. So it has this kind of interesting yoke construction on the back where you do this panel that goes across the back shoulders and then pick up underneath it and then around the shoulders to have it. And the way that the pattern is written, I test knitted this pattern when before it was first released in 2023. And the way that she has you knit it is like you kind of like start in the middle, and then for the back panel, you start in the middle and then knit in one direction and then knit in the other direction and then leave the stitches on hold and pick up. I decided that I wasn't going to do that. I just knit the whole strip from one edge to the other and cast on and cast off, and then I'm going to pick up the stitches just because always love the way that that back panel runs into the back of the sleeve. I kind of want more of a separation. I want it basically to look more like this, where it looks like a shirt with a back yoke and then the sleeves are picked up. So I made some modifications to the pattern that way. But beyond that, it's knitted to pattern. You do short rows under the strip at the yoke here, and then pick up for the front. You do some short row shaping on the fronts as well. And this is where I'm at. So yes, I am knitting this in 2 different kinds of yarn. The main color is this just kind of like beigey cotton. This is a Drops cotton. It's called Drops Loves You 7. I think it's now discontinued, but it's a fingering weight, 100% cotton. This is the color Wheat. It's kind of like a beigey off-white. And I bought this in Copenhagen in 2022. I was gonna make like a button-up shirt with it, but it was all knit flat and seamed, and I like got half up through some of it, and I was like, this is terrible. I'm not gonna knit it anymore. So I've been trying to think about what I want to use this yarn for years now, and this seemed like the perfect opportunity. But I am also holding, with the cotton, I'm holding silk, and this is not like a yarn. I do a lot of like yarn recycling. So I enjoy taking thrifted fabrics and making clothing out of them, I also like taking thrifted knitted garments, reusing that yarn to knit new garments. Like usually it's like sweaters that have holes in them, or just like they're like slightly felted. I will unravel the yarn and then re-knit it into something new to give it a new life. And that is where I got this silk from. So this was a silk sweater that I have partially unraveled, and I'm holding, and the way that a lot of commercial knitwear is actually knit is it's not like a plied yarn. It's a bunch of really, really thin, they're like, I guess they are plied. They're like 2 or 3 plies, but very, very thin, like thread-like yarns. And then they just kind of hold a bunch of them together and have them machine knit. And so that's how this silk is, but they're really, really, really fine strings of silk. They're basically like silk threads that are held together. So I think the way that the sweater was knitted was 3 of the silk threads held together, and that's what I'm doing in this as well. That's how I've wound it into these cakes, and that's how I'm knitting it as well. So the fabric that I'm making is 1 strand of that cotton, which this is kind of like how many plies? This is maybe like a 3 or 4 ply cotton, and then 3 strands of this silk thread. It's yarn, but it is basically thread. And that is giving me this really, really pretty fabric that I'll show you now. So you can kind of see it's not super noticeable that there's the silk in there, and please ignore my rowing out. I'm annoyed about it, but there's nothing I can do. I'm just not sure. You can kind of see there's just a little bit, and maybe I'll do some B-roll that I can try and help you see a little bit better, but there's just like a little bit of shimmer in the fabric. Like it adds a little bit of a sheen and kind of a tiny little bit of marl. Maybe you can kind of see it better right there where the light is kind of catching it. Like a little bit of sheeny marl to the fabric. I just think it kind of adds a layer of dimensionality that's really interesting, and it makes for a really nice fabric. I feel like a nice plant-based fabric. It almost feels like, I don't know, there's something really nice about like a brushed cotton or like a really nice plant-based fabric that feels really soft and cool and comfortable. So I'm hopeful that that is what this will end up as. I'm really liking how it's looking so far. I'm knitting the pattern on gauge with the recommended needle size 3.5. And to try and minimize my rowing out, I did the purls on a 3.5, or the knits on a 3.5, and then the purls on a 3.25. That's just this. I would have gone down to a 3, but I don't have an interchangeable that goes down that small. I feel like rowing out is more common among continental knitters. Like I am a continental knitter, and it just has to do with the way that you wrap your purls. I end up wrapping my purls, and it uses slightly more yarn, so the stitches are just like a little bit longer in the fabric, and so I generally go down a needle size on one size of my interchangeables to try and combat that. And it does help. I think the rowing out would be a lot more noticeable if I hadn't done that. But there is still a little bit of rowing out. Usually I go down half a needle size, but I just don't have interchangeables that go down to 3 millimeters. So this is where we're at. I think it's fine. And yeah, I've just joined in the round. I have to knit for a long time. I think this is a 26 stitch gauge fabric, so it's going to take me a while. But I'm going to keep plodding away on it. And I think this will be really nice when it's done to just have like a basically, this is like kind of an off-whitey long sleeve t-shirt sweater. I think it will be very versatile and it will fit well into my goal wardrobe of having pieces that I can dress up for work or dress down on the weekends. Like I can wear this with a pair of trousers or like a nice dark jean for work, or I can wear it with like cotton shorts, or linen pants or something on the weekend. So, or jeans. So yeah, that's my air tee that I'm planning to make a long sleeve into a long sleeve. I'm not expecting this to be done anytime soon. I think I'm going to kind of like, this is basically going to be my like commute project that I work on my way to and from work, or if I'm ever like, if I go to the movies again anytime soon, like a good, now that I'm just knitting in the round forever and ever and ever, I think it's going to take a good while for me to make some good progress on that. But nonetheless, I'm enjoying it, and I really want to have the finished piece. So I'm going to keep plugging away on that. Yeah, maybe I'll try and have the body finished by the next time I see you. We'll see. So yes, that is my first big work in progress. And then my second work in progress, I've just cast on, today's Saturday, I cast it on Thursday night, and I've already finished the back yoke. And this is what it is. This is my Esther Jacket, which you can't see the texture super well, unfortunately, but it is the Esther Jacket, which is a petite knit pattern, kind of this textured cardigan jacket. And this I am knitting with my own handspun yarn. So this is something else that I worked on a lot this month, was finishing up this handspun, and now I've cast it on. So I already caked up all my yarn because I needed to know how much yardage I had. So I caked them up and used a yardage counter that I borrowed from my lovely friend Emily of Teak Cozy Yarn Shop. Thanks, Emily. So I've already caked up all my yarn, but I do have a picture of the yarn in Skain form before I caked it up. And it turned out beautifully, and I'm really happy with it. So this is the yarn that I'm using, my hand spun. It is a 3-ply hand spun yarn. I did a long draw, so it's a worsted spun, and it was worsted prep as well. It was a carded fiber that I'm using to knit this, and this yarn is extra special because this is yarn from the very first fleece that I ever processed. So it was raw wool. I bought it, I washed it, I carded it, I spun it, and now I'm knitting it. Basically, this is getting like as close to farm to table knitting as possible. If only I had shorn the sheep, we would really be there. But every step besides cutting the hair off of the animal I have done myself, which is very fun. And yeah, I just finished the back yoke. I wish the texture popped a little bit more. I blocked the yoke after I finished the increases to just check the gauge. And blocking almost makes the texture kind of like sit back a little bit, but I'm going to keep going because I like this pattern a lot, and I don't know what else I would use this yarn for if not this, because I have almost exactly the amount of yarn that I need to make this pattern in my size. I have like just shy of 1,000 meters of yarn. It's a 3-ply, like worsted to Aran weight yarn, and I don't know what I would use the yarn for if not this. Like the only other thing I can think of using it for is like a traveler cardigan or something, like just a different round yoke cardigan. And I spun the yarn with this design in mind, and so I'd rather just continue. And if the texture ends up not being that prominent, it's still like a really lovely gray, browny, beige cardigan. And I'm actually really enjoying knitting this pattern as well. The texture is really fun and engaging, and I'm at the point now that I've finished this back yoke where I kind of have the pattern, like I can read my knitting and knit the pattern without looking at the chart, and so that's making it fun as well. But I do think it's really nice, and at a minimum you can really see these kind of like columns of knit stitches even if you can't see the texture super well from far away. So I'm happy with it. I think it's going to look more interesting than just a plain stockinette cardigan. But yes, this is where we're at. I think it's so pretty. I'm really proud of how the spin came out on this yarn. It's very smooth. It's very consistent. The stitches look great. You can kind of see them in the stockinette portions of this texture. Like, it's a pretty yarn. I love how the stitches are turning out. It's very balanced. So yeah, I'm really having a good time with this so far.
And obviously I cast this on like a day ago and I had a slower day yesterday, so I got a lot of knitting done. But yeah, it's really fun and I'm excited to pick up for the front. I feel like, I mean, this is a 16 stitch gauge cardigan, so it's pretty large gauge, so it goes pretty fast. But I think I'll be able to I will probably have this done before the end of the month because of how fast it's going. Yeah, I'm really enjoying it, and I'm so happy with the yarn. I just think it's so pretty. It's kind of an interesting color, like an oatmeal-y, but a dark oatmeal. The fleece was kind of like gray with brown in it, and so it turned out just like a really pretty, I would say looking more closely, you can see the brown a little bit better, and then further away, it's kind of just like a warm gray, which, you know, I love a warm gray, so I think it's going to be really nice. Maybe it's more of a cool, I don't know, cool brown. I don't know. It's kind of like like a warm gray or a cool brown. It's an interesting color. It's a pretty sheep. The fiber is a mutt sheep. It's Corriedale crossed with Lincoln and Romney. So it's pretty bouncy and fluffy, but the staple was super, super, super long. I'll put a picture of like some of the washed locks from when I was washing the wool. The staple on this yarn was like 6 to 7 inches. It's huge. So it was very easy to spin. It spun up pretty quickly. And yeah, this is a lot of wool. Like each of these skeins is about 140 grams and I have 5 of them. So it's like 750, 800 grams of yarn. It's a lot of fiber, and it's going to be kind of like a heavy piece when it's finished. But I'm really happy with it. It turned out beautifully, and I'm so proud. Like, this is just a beautiful, squishy. The ply is good. The consistency of the singles is good. And the way that I spun this is that like I have 5 bobbins for my wheel. And so in order to spin a 3-ply, I would basically just like spin 3 bats. They were 50-gram bats that I prepped. I would spin 3 bats and then ply them together. So I was basically spinning each skein like in a batch system. But I feel like they are pretty consistent skein to skein. And I mean, maybe this one looks a little bit thinner than the others. But all in all, I think it's really good. I think the color consistency I was a little bit worried about, but I actually think like between all of the skeins, they look pretty consistent. So yeah, I'm really proud of the spin on that, and I'm really excited to keep going on this. Once we're done talking, I'm gonna pick up for the shoulders because I'm having a great time. And I have my really good knitting friend, Meg, also knit one of these. And so I'm kind of inspired by Marlene, who has her friends. They all have like a little Esther sisterhood. I want to have matching Esters with my friend Meg, and we're going to bully our other friend Claire into making one too. So we're going to have our own Esther sisterhood, and it'll be great. No one knows this. This is my personal plan. But anyway, I love it. It's so fun. Okay, that's it for works in progress that I'm actively working on. I have some finished spinning. I guess while I'm talking about spinning, I'll show you this little tiny skein that I spun. In March, I went to Fibers West, which was a little fiber market outside of Vancouver, Canada, and I got some little snacks from Melly Knits, who is a wonderful business owner who sells hand-washed and prepped wool for hand spinners. And she helped me a lot when I was washing my fleeces. And so I wanted to go and buy some stuff for her. So I bought 3 of these little tiny little snack bats, what she calls them. This is like it was a 10-gram piece of roving. And just yesterday I spun it up into this little fun skein. It's merino blended with sari silk. So the wool itself is actually white, but it's the sari silk that kind of makes it look pink and confetti, and I think it's so cute. I just did a 2-ply. It's it's pretty fine. I haven't washed this yet, but I got like a fingering weight, and I have like 40 meters, so I think once I wash it, I'll probably lose a little bit, or 40 yards, so I'll probably end up with like 35 yards of this, and I feel like it could be cute to do like a contrast stripe on a sock, you know, like a little, like a sporty stripe on a white pair of socks, maybe is what I'll use this for. I don't know, but it's cute. I have a lot of little mini hand spun skeins because I've been slowly working on a breed sampler, and I had some mini bats. So I have quite a lot now of mini hand spun skeins, and I'm wondering like if I stripe them together into like a vest like this, or if I start working them into other projects. I've thought about like making something for Caroline using a bunch of these mini skeins. So I don't know, if you have thoughts about what to do with like mini skeins of hand spun that are beautiful and special, let me know, because I'm accumulating quite the collection and I want to use them. I like to knit with my hand spun. I don't want it to just sit and collect dust, but this is really cute. This is my first time ever spinning with sari silk, and I'm not sure I would spin like a sweater quantity with this, but it was fun and I liked having a little snack to try it out. So yes, that is my little snack. Also, I label my hand spun with these little tags that I just got online on a string, and I can just write like the fiber content, who it's from, the weight, and what it weighs, and how many like approximate length of the yarn, and then I can remember when I pick up hand spun skeins again months and months later to knit with. So yes, it's my little snack. I love it. Okay, we just have 2 more things to talk about, some finished sewing projects. We'll do the most recent one first, and then we'll talk about the big guy. This is a cutie little pair of shorts that I just sewed up the other day. It has ice cream on them because I went to get ice cream with my daughter and she put her hands on me. But this is a cute little pair of ruffly shorts that I made this last week. There's not really a pattern for these. So I started with a base pattern that was the shorts from the Maxine set, which is a pattern from Tiana's Closet Patterns. But I've like changed that pattern. Like I regraded it basically. Like the size that I printed out, the first pair I made, I didn't love. So I like took some length out of the fronts and the backs, and I've like widened the waistband, and like I've made enough adjustments to that pattern where I don't really feel like it's that pattern anymore. It's just kind of like a pattern that I've ended up Frankensteining that works really well for me. And I added the ruffle. This is the first time I've added the ruffle on the bottom. So they're like a pretty straightforward pair of pants. I think the Peppermint Magazine shorts, they have like a loungewear set or something that is very similar to this with the like slash pockets. You could use that pattern maybe, or this shorts pattern or whatever, like any pants pattern you could crop into shorts, all that with a side seam and a pocket. But I made my little shorts and then I added a ruffle, and for the ruffle I just ended up doing 1.5 the length of, it was a little bit of a trial and error on the ruffle, but basically I sewed it on to each of the 4 front and back pieces, and I did 1.5 the length of the hem. I think I want to make another pair of shorts with the ruffle on them. I think I would do 2 times on the next one just to make them a little bit more ruffly, because it's a pretty small ruffle. And then I think I cut strips that were 2 inches wide. I might go 2.5 on the next one just to make the ruffle a little bit wider. I don't know. I'm going to keep experimenting, but they turned out really cute. And there are some actual sewing patterns that have like ruffle short sewing patterns. I think there's one from Matchy Matchy Sewing Club. I'll link some below if you want like an actual ruffle shorts pattern. But that's what I did for these. And the best part is that these are made from a men's button-up shirt. I thrifted a men's button-up shirt for like $1, and it was like perfect to make these shorts. Like I cut the front piece out of one front of the shirt, the other front out of the other front, and then I got the 2 backs out of the back of the shirt, and the pockets out of the sleeves and all that. So I had to kind of piece strips together to do the ruffle at the bottom. Like it's not a continuous piece, but because it's gathered and at the bottom of my shorts, you can't even tell that it's not one piece of fabric. So yeah, that's my shorts. I think they're so cute. I have 3 pairs of shorts that I made from this pattern last year, and I wear them all the time. I wear them a lot. I had a really hard time dressing for summer for a really long time. I grew up in a place that was super hot, and then like as an adult I didn't know what I wanted my like summer style to be, but I'm finding that these like really loose, flowy, mid-length cotton shorts are wonderful and they work really well for me, and I like to wear them. So I'm going to keep making them because they're cute and comfy and great. So yes, that is my ruffly shorts. And then this is my pièce de résistance of the month. I made more jeans. I did. I made another pair of jeans. I think I showed you my white jeans last month, but I have now made a dark blue raw denim pair. They are so cute. These are the Helene jeans by Anna Allen Patterns. I made the straight size 4 with no modifications. I think if I'm going to make these again, I will lower the rise slightly because these are quite high rise. I bought this, the fabric is denim that I bought at Fibers West, just like raw indigo selvage denim, and I made the wide leg view of these pants. I will put a photo of me wearing these pants so you can see them in all their glory, but I'm really, really pleased with them. They turned out really well, but the one thing that I've done that really annoys me is that I put the button too far over, there's like a little bit of a wrinkle here because the button needs to be further over to make the fly lay flat, and it's not, and it pulls. And that drives me a little bit cuckoo. But besides that, I think they look wonderful. I think the top stitching looks really good, kind of all around. The construction, I was very meticulous, and I feel like I did a really good job. And they turned out really, really cute. I'm very happy with them. I think I've washed them twice to kind of get some of the dye out, but there is still a lot of blue dye in this fabric. And I'm going to continue to wash them, I think, just to kind of get them to release more dye. But I do want them to stay a dark blue, like a dark wash jean. But now that I've worn them, they're like starting to get the wrinkles in them, and they just look so nice. Like they really do look really good when I'm wearing, like you can kind of see how, you know, how you wear your jeans, they like wrinkle in the rise section, in the like where your hips are, in the hip section. There we go. And it just, they look really good. I'm very, very, very proud of these. I'll hold them up so you can kind of see them in the light a little bit better. But like, can you believe that I made these with my hands? Like, that's amazing. I'm so proud of myself, and I think it's crazy. And even like 6 months ago, I don't think I would have told you. I could have told you that I felt confident making jeans, but I've done a lot of sewing in the last year, probably. Yeah, in the last year since I had my baby. I've done a lot of sewing. And I am loving it so much, and I don't see myself slowing down anytime soon. So yes, that's these. I have more denim, and I think I'm going to take a break from sewing shorts for a minute, but I think my next, I might sew a pair, or I have more of this denim, and I think probably not this month, but maybe in like another month or so, I will make a pair of denim shorts for the summer as well, because I don't have any denim shorts, and it seems like a nice thing to have. So yeah. The one thing, well, besides the button, the one thing that I will say is that I did not do the best job of estimating the selvage into my seam allowance. And so the selvage kind of shows on the side seam of my pants, which no one is going to notice unless they're like annoying. But I'm worried that as the dye fades, that this selvage is going to become more obvious. But I'm not thinking too much about it because there's nothing I can do besides take the seams in, and I'm not going to do that. So yeah. But honestly, like I am very, very proud of these jeans. They look really nice. They fit really well, and I love them. Oh, one more thing actually that I've noticed is that I think the pocket placement is a little off on these. I wish they were a little bit further this way, like moved a little bit closer to the middle and then angled a little bit more. Like they're like this right now. I wish they were kind of like this. Does that make sense? Move the whole pocket over a little bit and then move this corner kind of up. But that's why every time you make something, it gets better and better and better and better. So yes, I'm really, really proud of these. I do need to clip this little, I think I have scissors here actually. I need to clip my little top stitching. I'm really proud of these. I ended up sewing them. So I got a new sewing machine in January, which you've probably heard if you've watched me anytime, and I love it. But I still have my old sewing machine, which is good for nothing except for a straight stitch. But that was really great in this case because what I ended up doing was setting up both of my machines, and I used my regular thread to like sew the construction seams, like sew the pieces of fabric together on my old machine with just a straight stitch. And then I did all the top stitching on my new machine, which I just felt like could handle the top stitching thread a little bit better. And another thing that I did was I just did the top stitching thread on the top. The bobbin is just normal thread. So that really helped feed through my machine really well. And the only place that I really had an issue was on the buttonhole. I could not get a nice buttonhole with my top stitching thread. So I just found in my stash that I have a golden thread, like a regular thread that is a similar color to my top stitching thread. And I used the regular thread to do this. And then there were so many layers of fabric that I couldn't get the automatic buttonhole to work either. And so I just ended up doing a manual buttonhole. But beside that, they look great and I'm really happy with them. I mean, there are more things I could nitpick, but all in all, I'm very, very proud of these. I think they look incredible and they are like I'm really, really proud of them. Okay, I think that's all I have to talk about today. My throat is getting a little scratchy, so we'll call it there. I hope you guys are having a wonderful spring. I hope you spend some time in Me Made May wearing your handmade garments or pieces in general and feeling proud of them. And yeah, thank you all for following me or thank you all for being here. I really appreciate it. Thanks to those of you who follow me over on Instagram. I post more often over there, at least on stories, than here. And thank you again to everyone who has subscribed to my newsletter. I hope that I've sent out 2 newsletters now, and I really like writing them. I think it's fun to be able to connect with you all in a different format that's not as visual and is more like language, I guess. I don't know. I just cover different topics on there that I talk about my makes, but I also talk about like media I'm consuming. My next letter, I'm going to share a recipe that I really liked, like just another way for me to share things that I'm enjoying with you all. So if you would like to subscribe to that, I'm aiming to do 1 newsletter a month. I might start trying for 2. So we'll see. It's fun. I like writing them. So yes, that is it for today. Thank you all so much for watching. I hope you have a wonderful rest of your day or night, wherever you may be, and I will see you again very soon.